How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to talk to you today about a SPAC, so a special purpose acquisition company or a blank check company that got announced recently, and they're actually planning on paying a dividend and they have very high net income. So I want to talk to you about, tell you why I just bought it. It's a very exciting company. There are a couple risk factors that I want to go through also, though, and I'll walk you through the transaction, what the company looks like. And before we get into that, if you guys don't mind, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Also, on my second channel, I am planning on doing a live stream going over what's happening in the market, talking about SPACs, talking about how I'm generating a 20% return over the market index or over the S&P 500. And I plan on doing that on my second channel, My Financial Friend 2. So if you guys don't mind, I need to get this to 1,000 subscribers to do that. But I think we can get there probably in the next few days or something just by pushing people over there. I want to do on that channel. I'm testing it out for something that I'm going to offer my Patreon members. So if you guys want, you can go follow my second channel. I'll put it as the top link in the description. And then you can follow that channel. We're going to do it probably in the next week or so. Also, from there, if you want to see those in the future, you can check out my link down below to Patreon. We're going to include that in one of the tiers. I'm going to open up the bottom tiers just for a little bit, and then we're going to raise the price just a little bit. It can't get any cheaper here because we have so many people in there. It's taking a lot of time, which I love, and we're having a lot of good conversations. You guys get my buys and sells, but the thing is, as it scales, there's more and more people that need attention. So I have to tier it off a little bit. So I'm going to do that. If you guys want, you can get in right now. I'll open it back up for some spots. And then from there, it's going to be a little bit more expensive going forward. So I apologize for that. It's just, again, I can't have 100,000 people in there, which we're far away from that. But still, I just want that to be on your radar. So if you guys want that, check out the link down below. Also, if you want to check out the link down below to WeBull, you can get 4 free stocks worth up to $1,600 for 2 of them. Just deposit $100. I really appreciate that. So the company that we're looking at today is Goris Holdings 4. So this is under the ticker GHIV. They're a pretty inexpensive SPAC right now at $11.27. And they're planning on merging with Wholesale Mortgage. So I'm just going to walk you through. There is no investor presentation that I can find. Now, there is an investor video on their website, but they don't actually show the slides. They just talk over the slides and they have them on paper in front of them. So everywhere I look, I can't find the investor presentation, but there are a couple articles that cover it pretty well. So they're planning on going public through a SPAC. Now, this company would be valued at about $16.1 billion. Now it's a little bit higher because usually they assume a $10 share price. So now it's $11.23. So it's probably around an $18 billion market cap. And this would surpass the largest SPAC of the year. And by that, I know we've talked about how Pershing Square Tontine Holdings will be the largest SPAC. They've raised the most money, but this is the most expensive company so far at $16.1 billion, now more like $18 billion. Now, after this was announced, it actually fell a little bit because part of it is a couple of the risk factors that I talked about earlier. First of all, the earnings they expect to actually fall over the next couple of years, but they have very high earnings. So this year they're expecting about $2.1 billion in net income. So this is a PE ratio that's under 10. It's a pretty good value right now. Honestly, I think it's sitting around an 8 to 9 PE ratio. And they are planning on paying a dividend. They're planning on paying 40 cents per share. So this would give them a dividend yield right around 3.5 or 3.6%. Overall, though, they're the largest player in the U.S. wholesale market. They have 6,500 employees. They differentiate themselves from Rakuten, which offers loans direct to consumers as well as through brokers. So they work exclusively in the wholesale space. That's what makes them different than Rakuten. Now, they also said that in 2019, the company's share of the total mortgage market was 4.6%. It said that in its investor presentation. It expects to grow this to about 6.7% in 2020 and then 9.2% by 2022. They also see their market share, their share of the wholesale market, going from 35% this year to 40% in 2022. So Again, they're planning on gaining some market dominance. Now, of course, most companies say this. SPAC company raised $425 million back in January. And you might recognize the name of the SPAC. So if you remember too, GMHI, that company merged with Luminar Technologies, which is up about 300 or 400% since they announced this. So this company has gone up a lot. This is the one that's merging with Luminar again. And there is some kind of track record there. They have had a huge winner so far. Now, the other red flag from this SPAC merger is the fact that the money that's being raised right now is not intended to go to the company. So the money that's being raised right now is going to buy out some existing shareholders. So again, that I would like to see the money actually being injected into the business. That being said, though, the current owners will still own about 94% of the company. So I don't see that as a huge problem. I mean, again, they're selling 6% of the company to different investors. So I don't see that as a terrible thing when you consider they're selling about 500 million or so, or a billion, and they're worth 16 billion, 18 billion. That doesn't seem terrible to me. That being said, I do realize that this is kind of a risky play. I bought a little bit more than I usually have on average, but not as much as I've been buying for some of the companies I've just been talking about, just like the last 2 or 3 companies that I've been buying. You can see here that they expect to earn $2.1 billion this year, and that's up from $67 million in 2018, $303 million in 2019. Their company projections are to hit about a volume of $240 billion in 2022, while the earnings slip to $1.8 billion. So right now, I think that this company does offer some upside. I also realize, though, that this is a boom for the mortgage market, and this might be, like, the next couple of years might be the best that it is for a while because of the fact that rates are so low. So this is a risky play in my opinion, but it's a SPAC that also offers a dividend. They are going to report some really good numbers, so I'm not sure I see this as a very long-term play. But that being said, if it goes down further, I'm willing to increase my position because, again, they do pay a dividend. So even if they only increase 5% this year, they're still going to give a nice return. So I think right now it's early on enough that you're limiting your downside risk because, again, SPACs typically only fall to $10 a share before the merger date. They can't really fall much more than that. So I think this offers some upside potential while limiting downside risk. I think there is a potential for it to go up, especially in the next couple of years as they report really good numbers. So this might be a 1 to 2 year play for me. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on if it gets stupid high or they report something really bad. So it is something that's a little bit riskier than a lot of the stocks I've been talking about recently, but I think it does offer some potential upside too. So I wanted to bring it to your attention because it is so rare to see a SPAC that is actually offering a dividend. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it. Again, check out that second channel down below. And if you want some free stocks, you can check out the link. Also, if you want to know exactly when I'm buying and selling stocks, you can check out the link down below to Patreon. Again, I'll open that up for a select number of people, but again, we're going to have to raise it a little bit just because there is so much volume, which is awesome. It's just that it's something that has to happen. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.